Hey everyone, and welcome. I'm Glory St. Germain from Ultimate Music Theory, and I'm so excited today because my special guest is my very dear friend, Olivia Riddell from Music for Young Children. And Music for Young Children is so dear to my heart. I've taught the program for over 20 years, and I've contributed as a composer in a small way to a couple of pieces that are still there. And Olivia, I'd love it if you would introduce yourself and tell us a little more about MYC.
Sure. Well, as Gloria said, my name's Olivia Riddell. I'm the International Director and President of Music for Young Children. Music for Young Children was started 42 years ago by my mom, Frances Belotis, because she wanted to have a better music education method for her two children. So that was me. And so what's awesome about Music for Young Children is that children are learning in a group method. They're getting a really wide and firm foundation of music education, not just solely piano performance. So we engage with piano, of course, is our primary instrument, but with percussion instruments, singing, solfege with a movable do, not fixed do. They learn how to harmonize their melody line with their chords. They know how to read lead sheets. So Music for Young Children, MYC, is just an amazing way to start very young children on their journey of finding the love and passion of music. We start them on the piano as young as 3 years old, as you know, Glory. And then each level of MYC each level of MYC progresses on one, builds on one level to the next. So what's also really awesome about MYC is that we're one of the only early childhood methods that integrates and utilizes the conservatory books within our own method. So as you progress in MYC, you are shifting away from our MYC publications to either Royal Conservatory, Conservatory Canada, ABRSM, Trinity, or even the Russian Conservatory, as we have teachers in Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Australia. So it really works well with any standardized accredited conservatory as well. Yeah. So our students at the end of MYC are able to take their first piano exam and first theory exam. Those of people that are, Royal Conservatory, for example, that would be their level 1 piano practical. But what's great about MYC, because we learn so much theory, they're able to take their level 5 theory exam after MYC at the end. So yeah, that's just a little smidge about.
That's a little smidge.
It's a little smidge. I went for Music for Young Children myself, of course. After graduating MYC, I continued in piano, voice, flute, and piccolo. And then I got to higher levels that I had to choose one instrument. So because I ran out of time to practice. So I focused on piano.
Yeah. You know, your story is so inspiring, Olivia. And as I said, I taught MYC for over 20 years, and it really gave me that foundation for understanding the importance of teaching in groups. And the Ultimate Music Theory program grew because my MYC Moonbeam 3 grads were like, well, now what? We love each other. We've developed a community. And so I created the Ultimate Music Theory program so I could continue with my Moonbeam 3 grads and lead them through, all the way through to level 8. And it has just become now a global marketplace for music teachers to learn how to teach effectively in group lessons. And it's one of the reasons why I created Music Business Mastery, which is a live event where teachers can learn about the mindset and the strategies and the tools that they can use to grow their music teaching business as well. So we're both passionate about teaching group lessons. And I do want to share a little story. You talked about young children, and oftentimes people think, oh, can you really learn when you're just little? Well, I can attest to this, that not only have my two children gone through the MYC program, but they've had massive success in the MYC program. My daughter, Sherry, actually started at the age of 2. She wasn't quite 3 yet, but cut close. And not only did she go through the MYC program and start composing at the age of 3, but she is now a music producer in Las Vegas and writes for film and TV and recording artist and multi-instrumentalist. And same with my son, David. And what happens when you start when you're young, well, of course, we know music makes you smarter, but I think it is just really the foundation of of everything that we need to help young children learn and grow and flourish. So let's talk about some of the benefits that you think, Olivia, are really stand the test of time. And of course, we know how many grads we've had in MYC. So share a little bit about that.
So I think when you're teaching in a group situation, all children have the opportunity for success, which is a huge game changer if you compare it, private lessons versus group. When you're private, while you assume that every child is going to succeed because they have that one-on-one attention and they have all of this different thing, you're not necessarily going to be engaging and reaching into those children's motivations in the same way. When I teach privately as well. And so you can get into this real kind of mindset of this is how it's going to go, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. Whereas when you're teaching group situations, you're dealing in MYC, we have up to six children in a class. So we have 6 wonderful personalities that we need to match and their learning style. Yes. And young children change their learning style very, very, very quickly versus adults. So while they're engaged, so they'll switch from a visual to auditory to analytical to tactile in milliseconds, it feels like, compared to us adults. So what's great about teaching in a group situation and when you're engaging in those 4 learning styles is that every student has the opportunity to absorb, understand, and be able to output what they're learning because they're receiving that information in a successful manner in a way that their brain can process it well. The other great thing about music for young children and learning in a group situation, in a group method that is not only solely instrument based on piano, is again, we're reaching those children that may not necessarily get so excited about playing piano, but they love singing. Yes. Or they love rhythm instruments, or they love composing, or those types of things. So whether or not a child is engaged with playing the piano at that moment, but they're going to rock out their rhythm ensemble, they're going to feel really successful. So you have that opportunity in every MYC and group lesson for a child and then therefore the parent to see success. And it's very important for parents to see that success, to see that joy in their children's reactions, in their visceral movements and everything else, because that's what they're going to make their decisions on how they continue, right?
I think one of the testaments to success in the MYC program and in the Ultimate Music Theory program, where we also teach music theory students in group classes and do the rhythm, and it's really the foundation. I mean, if you don't have music theory, you can't sing or play. You can't do anything because you don't even know what a melody is or a note. But one of the testaments that I think holds very dear to my heart is when I see the success of young students grow in their own musicianship. And so many of my MYC students became MYC teachers, and they're also growing, and they're continuing to this day to be teaching music for young children and growing their business. And because of that connection, they're also teaching Ultimate Music Theory group classes as their Moonbeam 3 students graduate. So it's kind of a win-win when you understand the mechanism of how do you teach group classes. So we know the success. We've got that. It's proven. We know the cooperative learning theory, which is something I share inside of MusicBusinessMastery.live. So that's great. But let's talk about teachers who maybe say, I'm a little nervous. Like, I've never taught group classes before. And it is a different dynamic. I definitely have to share with you, Olivia, the first time I taught my very first MYC class many, many, many years ago, I remember kind of dancing around the room going, I am a teacher. I was like so proud of myself because I thought, wow, like I can actually do this. But it wasn't because I did it by myself. It was because there was training in helping me comprehend what you've shared. And I'm an NLP practitioner as well. And NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. So neuro is how we think, linguistic is how we communicate, and programming is how we get the results that we get. And in understanding modalities and submodalities, it's an awakening. And I think one of the key factors in teaching group classes is having a foundation for knowing how it all works. So share a little bit about how, you feel about, you have to learn how to teach in groups, and you don't have to figure it all out by yourself.
Well, that's the thing is that, as I said, like if you think about when you're a student and you are learning your instrument and then your teacher's talking to you about turning into a piano teacher or a violin teacher or any kind of private teacher, it's you just draw on what you know, right? So when you're thinking about going into group teaching and you're trying to draw on your foundation of what you know, and you're trying to visualize, okay, now instead of one child being in the class, I'm going to have to engage with 6. The training is really important because you do need to understand how to put your lesson plan together. How are you going to keep these children engaged? How are you going to match all of those different learning styles that are happening simultaneously? You get trained in MYC, you get trained on how to teach the concept. You get trained on how to approach it, how to pre-teach it, how to do all of those different things. When you're in a group situation, movement is very, very important. Feeling it on your body is very important, especially with the young children. But also as a teacher, what's great is you have to train yourself to do it, right? So you're not just standing there and watching people, it's full participation, right? So you have to almost get over yourself. And really practice. When I'm training our teachers, I say to them, just in the same way that you wouldn't go onto the stage at Carnegie Hall without practicing, you're not going to walk into a group lesson without practicing what you're going to do. You are performing, you are presenting yourself, and you want to do that in the most professional but fun way, right? So you practice either with what MYC is great is our teachers practice together. They'll sit in on one another's classes online, jump on FaceTime, help one another out. We have an amazing community. But it's also, yes, it's one thing to be trained, understand what you're supposed to do, but to actually follow through and put it into action and then feel really good about it while you're teaching it. Of course, there's going to be times where your lesson plan goes off the wall a couple of times. Hey, we've all been there. We ask for management issues, especially when you're dealing with young children, that we might have meltdowns and tantrums and things like that. But you work with it and you set to certain standards. So then the parent and you know how to handle it and you can continue to go on. But when you're teaching group, it's really important that you have a support system, that a non-judgmental support system for when you have those questions and you're feeling really scared or anxious inside, because as musicians, we are such an emotional group, but an analytical group, that it's like twofold, right? You're super emotional about something, but then you beat yourself up about it because you didn't do it perfectly, right? So, what's important is that you have a network that you can talk to, that you can say, okay, well, I tried this. Like, for example, I was on a meeting last night with our teacher in Australia, and she was explaining to me how she just wasn't feeling that, because we do all of our technique in MYC in keyboard ensembles, right? So our students are playing their scales and their inversions and all those different things together. And so she said they're really having a challenge doing the scale with all of their chords, their 1, 4, 5, 7s. And I said, okay, well, just remember, you're giving each note 8 beats. And she had forgotten that from her training. So she's like, oh my gosh, how did I forget that? I'm so stupid. I'm like, you're not stupid. First of all, nobody's stupid in MYC, right? But it's just having that network, being comfortable enough in yourself and getting used to being silly, but still structured, but also professional, So that's,
Yeah, it's so true, Olivia. And, I so support you, and I'm so grateful for the training that I received in MYC, but also how it put me on my path and just the journey to grow your own business. One of the things that I'm passionate about is empowering educators from around the world. We're now in 37 countries with Ultimate Music Theory, and we have Ultimate Music Theory certified teachers and elite educators in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Hong Kong, Zimbabwe, Asia. I'm trying to think of all the countries, the US, of course, and Canada. And when it comes down to it, music education and music theory is the same language. So unlike some things, we all speak the same language. And as musicians, we need to embrace that. And it's one of the reasons why I created our training event that's coming up, Music Business Mastery Live, is to give teachers and educators a chance. I'll pop it up so they can click there to learn more, to have a chance to explore what does that look like for you. So if you're a teacher who's thinking, you know what, it's time for me to explore another opportunity for my music teaching business, what would that look like for me? How would it help me in increasing my income as a music educator? How would that help me serve at a higher level? And I think the next step that we look at is we know it works. We've got massive success stories. We're providing the training, and sometimes what's holding you back is that insecurity, as you said, that imposter syndrome, like I feel silly. I love our community as well. And many MYC teachers are also in the Ultimate Music Theory program and have been involved in Music Business Mastery because they see the value and the support of that, as you said, Olivia, non-judgmental, just come and be here and know that you are in the right place. We're all together. Exactly. This is not a competition. No. This is a community. Yeah. And that's what I love about it. And I'm so grateful to you, Olivia, for saying, yeah, Gloria, let's just hang out. We're here to serve those little musicians. So here's something my mother told me, Olivia. She said, Gloria, you know that music makes you smarter? And I said, yes. And she said, but did you know that teaching music makes you better looking? And I'm looking at you, Olivia, and I'm going, she's right. This does like that.
You're very sweet. Well, right back at you, girl.
Well, I think it's a lot of fun. And I think maybe the final thing that we'll touch on today is that we know the system works. Students are very successful. We know that teachers can have the training that they need. We know that they can generate more revenue into their business. And I guess the final thing is just sometimes they think, well, how do I even get started? Because maybe we've now got the training, but the marketing and all of that is a whole nother ball game. And I was always so grateful for having marketing materials and brochures. I mean, how I got started is I literally walked the area where I live in Westwood, and because you used to be my neighbor, and I would just walk around. And how I actually learned about music for young children in the very beginning as a parent is that it was a brochure in my mother's mailbox, who also happened to live around the corner. And she said, you've got to check out this program. And so let's talk about that support, because you've got the training, but what's the next step? Obviously, you and I share the passion for marketing and providing lesson plans and those kind of materials. But share a little bit, Olivia, about how this helps teachers get started right now so they don't think they have to do it all by themselves.
Well, again, it goes back to the community and also about what, you and also MYC believes in. So, for us and our teachers, yes, we train them in how to teach. We provide a standardized curriculum and all those different things, but we also provide them professional development opportunities to learn how to market, to discover their community with some different glasses on, right? When you're a business, and all of our MYC teachers, as your teachers are as well, are independent business owners. Yep. So they need to figure out how they're going to represent themselves within their community, and they're going to get that response that they need. Of course, back in the day, that flyer might have been even delivered by me, because Francis used to make me walk the streets with the bag of brochures, and I was not allowed to come home until they were gone. Yes. So who knows? But Frances did it herself, though, too. I mean, she walked the walk and she talked the talk.
Yeah.
So what's important is, what do you want your studio to represent? What do you want people to feel about the culture and the environment that you're offering within the community? Whether that's on social media, whether that's on, flyers, brochures, online interviews, whatever, you do need to understand the community that you live in.
Yeah.
You need to understand how also people want to receive messages differently, because of how they are in that moment and going to receive that information. So it's very important that you have a good balance of your messaging to your community and where you want to reach. So whether that's, we often encourage our teachers, don't only focus on advertising. Advertising to me is online, it's ads, it's those things. Marketing and direct marketing also has to be twofold, right? It needs to be, they need to see your face. They need to, have a conversation at the farmer's market or something along those lines. My good old grandfather, Wes, I'm sure you remember, always had a brochure tucked in his suit jacket pocket, because There
Yeah.
you go, right? So it's for teachers, when you're starting out and you're wanting to build your group studio, or you have an existing private studio, but you're expanding and you're growing your studio because now you're jumping in and you want to try this group teaching.
Yeah.
You want to tell your story. People want to hear an authentic, holistic story of how you came to make this decision.
Yes.
It's okay to share that story because it shows people that you're being honest. They
Yeah.
don't necessarily need the marketing spiels and this and that and everything else, but they want to get to know people. And especially now after COVID,
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say after COVID, after the last 2 years, because COVID's still not gone, people are really in a higher need to connect. They need that. There's been something we've all, made the adjustments we did, but we are a human organic body being that responds to other humans. So, it's very important, I think, and I feel, to tell your story and be okay with it. You don't have to go into the huge nitty gritty about how this happened and that happened and this happened. Yeah. But like, how did you get from here to here? Why did you make that decision? What empowered you to make that final choice? All of those different things. And then, having the support, like here at MYC, we do all of our advertising and branding for our teachers. So they don't have to worry about knowing how to use Adobe and how to edit, do all these different things, right? So when they need something, they come to us, they have the look, they have the branding, and then they just need to share.
Yep. And that's really what makes us really help teachers grow quickly. And, I really appreciate everything that you provide for your teachers, Olivia. And I've learned so much, being part of your community. And I continue to, sing your praises, sing the praises of MYC because I'm so passionate about it. And it's really helped me as an educator as well, see what can happen, what's possible for businesses. Of course, Music for Young Children was represented in the Power of Why Musicians Anthology Series, #1 bestseller. And we really see the story of the origin of MYC and how it's grown through the years. And I'm passionate about helping music teachers on a global market space by providing them with the mindset, the strategies, and the tools that they can use to grow their businesses too. So I want to say thank you, Olivia. It's been insightful chatting with you. And I invite everyone who's listening and watching to not only check out Music for Young Children, but also to join us at our upcoming live event, MusicBusinessMastery.live. Check it out for all the details, and I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks again, Olivia.
Thanks, Glory.
Teach with passion. Bye now.